That's like mayonnaise. I'm assuming that's the biggest word I know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome on into the Blitz NFL Player Props with Derek Carty of EV Analytics. I'm Thomas Viola, and we are back for Week 10. Time is just flying by, Derek. Here we are. We're already past the halfway point of the season here. And congratulations, hats off to you on a fantastic Thursday Night Football clean sweep last night.
Yeah, last night was a really good one. If you use the Blitz, makes me very happy. So yeah, I love to get the week started off like that, and hopefully we have a few more good ones to look at today.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a bunch. We also are going to talk a little bit more about some of the concepts and stuff because, you know, we had some people on the show, people in the comments last week talking about, hey, how do you discern from the edges that you really like versus the ones that you don't necessarily want to attack as much? So we'll be talking about that as well. And guys, I have absolutely no explanation for how StreamYard works and how it does this because every show so far this season, it has not shown us comments. And then today, what do we have? We have the comments. Carty looking Jack says sports videos. Everybody's in here. What's the motto? It's been a minute since we've seen What's the motto, but Cheeseburger Eddie has a good question. What the hell is going on with the Waddle and the Dolphins offense? Seems all they want to do is funnel everything through A-Chain, which was very unfortunate for us on that under last week. And we will be talking about that a little bit more. Jalen Waddle missing in action entire season here, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, they have other options. A-Chain's been great in the pass game. Jonnu Smith has been fantastic. I'm actually sad that this is the first week we're not seeing like a great line on him. Like we've been getting like 3.5 plus 150s.
Yeah.
And 3.5 minus 110, minus 120, minus 130 out there now.
I've been hitting those every week.
But yeah, they have a lot of mouths to feed. Waddle just isn't commanding the targets.
Yeah. I haven't looked yet. My favorite bet of every week has been Samaje Perine receiving yards over. It's free money. I've talked about it. Yeah, I love it. Every week they're like 7.5 yards. And I'm like, cool, he's getting 5 targets. And you think he's getting 2. I'll take it. We'll see what happens with him this week. But R wants to know Lamar Jackson unders. What's been going on here? He's been hitting the over since week 3. And this is a good place to this is a good jumping off point for that. Obviously, we're not going to be betting on him this week because he's already done. But it's a good explanation for, there's some of the guys, Lamar, Saquon, who are having incredible seasons, and the Blitz expects them to regress to the mean, but it's not really happening. There's some of these superstars that we kind of look away from a little bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you follow me at all during baseball season, I talked about it then too, where like every projection system is going to have biases. Every projection system is going to have blind spots. And sometimes guys that are extreme outliers that odds are they should regress, they don't. And so it was something I was talking about in the Discord chat a little bit this week, where like basically every week the Blitz is saying there's value on Lamar Jackson unders, Saquon unders, Derrick Henry unders. That doesn't mean you have to bet them every week. In fact, I don't really bet them myself. We talk a good amount about correlated plays. Like, okay, if you're going to bet the Blitz loves Derek Carr this week, if you're going to bet Derek Carr's over passing yards, well, if you also bet his over completions and his over attempts and his over passing touchdowns, like it's all correlated. If one hits, there's a good chance the rest are going to hit. If one loses, there's a good chance the rest are going to lose it. And so you don't necessarily want to put all your eggs into one basket based on one angle. And I don't think people always realize it or think about it this way, but like from week to week, if it's always on a Derrick Henry under, it's always on a Lamar Jackson under, it's the same angle every week where it's saying, okay, Derrick Henry cannot possibly keep being the second best yard per carry running back of all time, which is literally what he was going into last night. The Blitz is like, can't keep happening. Can't keep happening. Derrick Henry finally regressed a little bit last night. It was nice. I didn't bet it though, because I don't want to overcommit to any one angle. And even though it's different, different bets every week, different matchups, it's really the same angle of just Derrick Henry can't be this good. But sometimes guys are that good. There's a famous quote. I always forget who says it. But it's basically like, player populations as a whole tend to regress to the mean. Individual players do whatever the hell they want, which is so true because, like, on the whole, guys who perform like Henry or like Lamar Jackson, who are just so far above their historical averages, so far above what you'd expect them to do, you would expect them to come back down to earth. Sometimes they don't. Aaron Judge was a great example this year during baseball. Like, the Blitz liked Aaron Judge unders. And at a certain point, I was like, I'm not betting Aaron Judge unders anymore. Like, I've committed too much to this angle. And Aaron Judge never regressed. He just wound up being historically amazing.
Until the playoffs.
Yeah. On the whole, if you were to bet Judge and guys like him many, many, many times, you come out ahead. But if Judge happens to be that guy who just isn't going to regress, you don't want to lose your whole bankroll on the one angle. So that's the main thing I'd say with this stuff, like Henry and Saquon and Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson, this is one of the most run-heavy teams in football. They're usually playing with a lead. He shouldn't be throwing for 300 yards every week. His efficiency has been insane. It's probably coming down. It hasn't yet. Yeah. So, don't bet him if you're not comfortable with it. Like, if it's the same thing week after week, just don't bet those ones.
Yeah. I just got done saying it to Chris on the on cover 2 when we were doing college football props, but we talked a little bit about Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson is the reason that I want to have kids, because I want to be able to do my best Lamar Jackson impression when they're playing football with their friends. And that is what he looks like when he's out there. Like, it looks like he's out there playing football with his kids.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wild. He's so fun to watch. Yahtzee saying, in the words of Milo, they can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And Bogler pointing out, there was actually Alan Greenspan and Milo Kaminsky from, of course, here in the comment section, quoting him, but still a fantastic quote and a great poll on recognizing that was Greenspan. Sports Video saying Tua over passing yards was the worst beat of all time last week. Let me tell you, I had a couple that were the football gods giveth and the football gods taketh away, because the Saints game, Derek Carr over 237.5 passing yards. He finishes with I had him under 237.5. He finishes with 236. And then I had Caleb Williams over 218. He finishes with 216. And it was just, I can't be mad about the bad beat because I just got it on the other side and it was a wash.
Yeah. I had a good week, but the one that killed me last week, I had Drake May under half a touchdown, passing touchdown at like plus 200. Oh. And he gets there on the last play with 0 seconds on the clock, just like running around like he's in the backyard and finally, like, after a minute finding someone in the end zone. Like, that was just that was not a fun one, but yeah, it was a good week overall last week. Good week last night. And I'm looking forward to another good week this week.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Last week, let's talk about it. The show, we were 3-3, but full season, we are 28-22 for up 6.7 units. And of course, if you've been using the Blitz with Unabated, you've probably been doing a little bit better than that the last couple of weeks. We had a slow start to the season. We'll openly talk about that. But we're feeling good after a couple good weeks here, and we've got some good ones to get into today. How about we start to head into them? Let's go to the first one on the slate here. Derek, where are we looking?
We're looking at Kareem Hunt under 1.5 receptions, plus 105 at ESPN is going to be our best number. You can find some even monies out there at different books, fairly widely available line. Kareem Hunt has been amazing since taking over the starting job for KC, but a lot of his damage has come on the ground. He really hasn't been a big factor in the passing game, especially the last few weeks. Only has a 4% target share on the year. It was like 2.5% last week. They throw to Pirine. They're still giving a little bit of action to Carson Steele. This team isn't anywhere near as pass heavy as they used to be anyway. They're big favorites in this game, so they shouldn't have to pass too much to begin with. They have DeAndre Hopkins now, so passes to running backs in general, they're not going to need as many checkdowns with Hopkins getting open. I like this one. You can see the Blitz is projecting, about a quarter of reception under. Plus we get that downward distribution of unders and we get a little bit of plus money.
Real quick, I want to see what the Pirine number is this week. Can you switch to his receiving yards?
It's 7.5. I looked.
I gotta go bet it right now because if I don't, everybody else is gonna steam this line up on me real quick. So I gotta do that. I mean, it's free money, which is something that I should not be saying. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take that again. I think he's gone under it once this season.
Yeah, you can see the Blitz. The Blitz likes that one, projects him for about double the yardage and some pretty solid value on it.
Yeah. All right. Where do you want to head next? We've gone Kareem Hunt. What's up next on the slate for us here? As I rush to bed.
Next, we can't simulate, so we're going to head over to EV Analytics, and we're going to do Joe Flacco pass attempts under 34.5, minus 108 at Rivers. Looks like our best line. FanDuel, I think, still hanging at 34.5. Most other books have moved down to 33.5 now, which still shows good value. The Blitz is projecting about 31 here. But if you can get a 34, that's even better. The Colts do pass more with Flacco than they did with Anthony Richardson.
A lot more.
A lot more. True.
Because they actually complete a few.
They do actually complete a few, which helps. But this is still a really big number. Like this implies like a really, really pass heavy team. He's only gone over this in 2 of his starts, and he's gone way over in those 2 starts. But under the other 2, facing a Bills offense that plays at a super slow pace. So, ideally the Bills here will be playing from ahead. They'll be chewing clock. Indy won't be getting the ball back as quickly, won't have as many opportunities, just in general to run plays. Michael Pittman's out, so it's possible they lean a little away from the pass. Joe Flacco didn't look great last week to the point where people were asking, is he still the starting quarterback after they just installed him as the starting quarterback? Answer from Shane Steichen was yes, he is, but it wasn't like a real, like hearty, definitive, like, yes, this is definitely our guy. It was a little wishy-washy. I don't think it's completely out of the question that Flacco gets benched if he plays poorly here, or if the game is completely out of hand in the 4th quarter. I don't think he necessarily stays in to eat up the garbage time. They could just put Richardson in just to give him some reps or something if Flacco's not looking. Like there are multiple outs here, I think, for Flacco not playing the whole game, even though this projection is projecting him to play the whole game. But I think there's a little bit of hidden upside as well.
Connor Frazier is asking if it's a play at 33.5 minus 107 here.
I'll play it there too. Yeah.
I mean, we are not, we're a prop show here based on the numbers. We're not going to get into the sports talk radio of it, but Shane Steichen, let's face it, the answer is probably Flacco's the quarterback until I lose my job. Brought in to develop the young quarterback. After 10 starts, you're giving him the yank. What the hell are we doing here, Colts? But let's move on here to the next one up. As Sports Videos has noticed, that's Christian McCarty in the thumbnail. There we go.
Yeah, the thumbnail this week is pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, Justin continues to just hit banger after banger with these.
Yeah, he really does. All right, this one I love. We are doing Tony Pollard under 15.5 rush attempts, even money at MGM. I think DK also even money. I think ESPN also even money. You can see the Blitz here is projecting about 3 carries under the line, and we're getting it at even money. It's showing ridiculous value. This is contingent on Tajay Spears playing, but he's off the injury report, and they said he's trending towards playing. So I'm assuming Tajay Spears is going to play. Tony Pollard has been getting just a monster workload of late. And it's gotten to the point where they've said a couple times now in press conferences and stuff, hat tip Coach Speak Index, as always, for the great information on this stuff, but they want to manage Tony Pollard's workload. He didn't practice at all last week. I don't think he's practiced at all this week. They're like, we need to get creative with how we manage his workload. Maybe he just doesn't practice and then goes and plays. And they've basically said, too, once Spears is back, they want to see this as more of a split backfield. They said that all offseason long. Wasn't really the case the first couple weeks, but Spears couldn't get going. Then he was injured. I think if they feel like Spears is healthy enough to play, they're going to let him take a decent amount off of Tony Pollard's plate here. And they're probably going to be playing from behind anyway and not able to run as much as they would want. I mean, they're full touchdown underdogs. So this is like a Tony Pollard line where you don't expect Spears to play and you expect Pollard to get most of the work. And I just don't think that's going to be the case this week.
Yeah, it's like also, let's face it, with this Tennessee team, they're not exactly going anywhere at this point. They're not going places, and they're probably going to need to pass the ball a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, they came into the year wanting to pass the ball. They just haven't been able to.
I didn't even realize. I mean, forgive me if I wasn't paying attention, but yeah, Levis is back, encouraging them to run the more. Are the predictions with Rudolph in, or
no? So I'm projecting Levis in. I don't know if that would actually. I think it would almost have the opposite effect, though, where, I mean, Levis really was the starting quarterback. I mean, obviously he's been bad, but is Mason? Do they really think Mason Rudolph is better? I don't think so. I think they'd pass a little bit more with Levis. Not a lot, but I don't think they're going to run more because Levis is back.
Mm-hmm. Justin had that on lock. That was not me. It is a crime not to play Will Levis. I mean, he is the Jameis Winston of other like he is the other Jameis Winston when it comes to the quarterback memery, and I'm very happy that he's going to be back here. Andrew Brennan saying Levis should help, loves to throw, and he loves to throw even more to the other team, which it's a fair point there.
It is. It looks like DraftKings might have just pulled this off the board entirely after we released it, which I'll be curious to see where it comes back and where this line ultimately settles, because
MGM didn't, because I just grabbed it there.
Nice. Yeah. 15.5. Obviously you can see based on the projection.
Mm-hmm.
I want Spears to play, but assuming he does, I feel pretty confident about this. There's even a world where they're like, all right, Tony Pollard has been working so much and Tajay Spears is back now. We're going to give Tony Pollard a really easy game, and Tajay Spears gets the majority of the carries, and Tony Pollard rushes like 7 times. Like, that's in the range of outcomes.
Connor Frazier asking how yards project. If you want to hit that pencil there, we can show them those too. DK line guys are watching the show. Honestly, it's not out of the question, to be completely honest with you. Derek, if you want to hit the pencil there, and then that way it'll show the yardage projection as well for Connor. There you go.
58 yards. We can go over to the market for it.
Yeah.
A little bit of value on it, but not nearly as much as the carries.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before as far as like noisier props versus more stable ones. Rushing attempts is a very stable market, and I speaking slightly anecdotally here, but I know that I've had a lot of success betting them so far this season.
Yeah, I have too. I like that market.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who do we want to hit up next? And of course, you guys, that we'll be answering plenty of the questions from the chat as well as we get on through the show here. But first, we got to get through a couple more props that we want to highlight before we get to that point.
We are doing Jonathan Taylor under 3.5 receptions, -120 at MGM. I think ESPN has the same line. It's not here, but I think they have a -120 also. As our best line, this has been flip-flopping between 2.5 and 3.5 all week. And today, with Pittman being out, it kind of jumped up to 3.5 and moved to some really reasonable juice. 4 receptions for any running back is a lot. I mean, if you want to do under 3.5 for most running backs, like, you're going to pay -150, -160, -170. Michael Pittman is out, and there might be more need for checkdowns, dump offs. Taylor might be involved more. But Jonathan Taylor is not by any means an elite pass catching back here. This is a guy who normally has like an 8 to 10% target share, which does not generally lead to 4 receptions.
Yeah.
I also mentioned earlier, this is a pace down spot for Indy. Maybe not going to be able to run as many plays as they want because of how slow Buffalo plays. -120 for an under 3.5 on a non-elite receiving back is really good.
Yeah. Let's see. Marwell said he saw this at -170 this morning. Yeah. Sports videos say Michael Pittman wasn't doing anything anyways, and wagered on Tilt saying, I am eyeing the Josh down under, seeing the line moving in some places, so likely slapping that under. I mean, T, I hope that you saw the Michael Pittman news, and that would explain some of that. But if you still like it because of that, please sound off in the chat. But yeah, this is a team with a lot of questionables, and I certainly don't mind being stacked on a few Colts unders this week.
Definitely. And it's not even like Jonathan Taylor is the only guy that's going to get the running back snaps and be out there. Like, even if there's just a random dump off or two, like he's only been running a route on like half of the dropbacks. They still do have Trey Sermon out there. They have Tyler Goodson out there a little bit. So even just kind of those random fluky ones, like he's not necessarily even guaranteed to be in the game, when they come up.
And Boglor pointing out the passes to Ezekiel Elliott in the second half of the Patriots 2023 season built a good portion of my bag.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, those were fun.
Definitely capitalized on that one.
Yep. But like he was catching 5 to 6 balls per game, as Boglor points out. But Joe Flacco, not captain checkdown, which is very nice, even in his advanced age.
And even without Pittman, like they do have decent receivers. Like Josh Downs is pretty good. Mitchell has been getting open a lot this year. Hasn't been on the field a ton, but now he will be. Like he'll be in the mix. Pierce will be in the mix. They have 4 tight ends that they filter through. It's not a pretty offense, but it's not like they have nobody and they're just going to have to dump off to Taylor, all the time.
Yeah. Somebody is hitting these plays real hard on DraftKings because it is pulling them off the board.
They yanked this down too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Whoever's doing that, I mean, maybe diversify a little bit on the sports books here, but hey, more power to you and good luck. Sports Talk Radio. Joe Flacco also throws one of the best deep balls I've ever seen.
I'm a Flacco fan in general.
Elite QB.
Yeah.
Sports Video says DK is pulling down every line. MGM isn't because everyone's limited there. That's a very, very good point. All right. Do we have another one that we want to go to, or is that wrapping up the Carty special?
I think that's wrapping up the Carty special. I will take one more look to see if anything just came out while we've been on the show, because that does happen sometimes, but that's all we have scheduled right now.
Sounds good. While you're taking a look there and seeing if there's anything you want to add, I'll recap them. And then, of course, guys, this is your time. Drop them into the chat. Drop your questions. We'll take a look at all of them. But in the meantime, to recap for you, Kareem Hunt under 1.5 receptions, plus 105 at ESPN. Joe Flacco under 34.5 attempts, minus 108 at the Bet Rivers. Tony Pollard under 15.5 rush attempts with the king of sports books, MGM, even money. And Jonathan Taylor under 3.5 receptions. You got that at minus 120, also at the Lion. And that's going to do it for our recap here. Anything show up for you, Derek?
There's one real ugly one that I'm debating whether or not I have the balls to do it.
We don't have Tyler Huntley this week.
No, we don't have Tyler Huntley. We do have some Cooper Rush stuff, which I've already hit earlier this week. That looks good. So
that's a great question. That was one that was definitely in the chat at the beginning. I'm trying to remember who it was that asked about that. Because they're up here. Someone's up here.
Someone asked about it, I think. We can definitely talk about
there we go.
Okay,
Sports Video saying, let's talk about the Cooper Rush projections. Let's see it here.
So the Blitz is definitely on Cooper Rush this week. Let's pull him up. Any market you touch is going to be something that projects well. I think I hit the attempts earlier in the week, but the completions over 19.5. The Blitz is projecting 3 over that. He's a backup quarterback, but he's competent by backup quarterback standards. He's on a team that they will be more run heavy without Dak, but they do tend to throw the ball a good amount. So the Blitz is projecting them somewhere around like a neutral, pass run rate. Probably going to be playing from behind against Philly and having to throw a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Decent. As bad as Dallas has kind of looked this year, like they do have an okay receiving core, especially if CD plays, which I'm hoping he does. If CD doesn't play, it makes this a little dicier. That's part of the reason I like the attempts more than the completions, but
he looked in pain last week with that shoulder.
I know. And especially with Dak out, like, are they really going to push him? I don't know. I kind of hope he plays. But either way, this is just one of those bad backup quarterback things that the market tends to set too low. And we can take advantage of. So I'm on Cooper Rush stuff.
Howdy asks, I feel like you guys have covered this. We've talked about it a little, but we're always cool to talk about it some more, dude. But yards is showing much bigger edge. You still prefer attempts. Yards is a much noisier stat. Attempts is a much more chartable one.
Yeah. I think the edges for the yards are a bit overstated. I like to see a much bigger number on those if I'm going to take them. And in general, I really just prefer attempts and completions. Historically, they've done better when I've run back tests on the projections. They've done better than yards. They're just more predictable. They're less bet into by the public. So the lines theoretically are not as sharp. I prefer the attempts and completions to yards like 95% of the time.
The other thing about that, and getting into a little bit of the math here, and I'm going to surprise myself with the words coming out of my mouth, but we are using a uniform standard distribution when it comes to the simulator and simulating out passing yards. Every quarterback's using the same distribution. And the reality is not every quarterback has the same distribution. Some of those tails for some of the elite quarterbacks are a little bit different than they are for some of these guys who are a little bit worse, which is why I'm getting a call from Syracuse University. That's what it is. I saw the 315 area code come up on my phone. I'm like, oh crap. But the thing with passing attempts is the distribution is a little more uniform over a wider base of quarterbacks than it is for attempts than it is for passing yards here. In the meantime, more questions coming in here. We got to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence pretty much out. I don't know if it's completely official yet, but Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback this week.
I am so looking forward to Mac Jones props.
Here we go. Let's fire him up, baby.
I don't think books have released any yet. At least that I'm aware. Yeah, there's even yards. Is there yards? Oh, there is yards for Jones now, which actually not showing as much value as I would have expected.
And we're looking at the over. Everybody in the chat is about to be crying.
I'm not betting it with that number there. But if we were to, I mean, you can see 22 completions. If we were to get like a 17.5 or an 18.5 completion line, I'd be on that. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Do we have a completions number?
Not according to the simulator, unless I mean, it's possible. It's possible with the Lawrence stuff today that it'll be coming out this afternoon. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it. If anyone notices a Mac Jones completion line drop at any point today, like ping me on Twitter or something, because I will probably want it. But it looks like right now we're not being offered.
Bruck KGB wants to know, looks like Bryce Young over 17.5 completion feels gross, but we like gross. I like this one a lot.
I do too. I talked about this one on the cover show earlier today. They're playing in Germany. They're full touchdown underdogs to the New York Giants.
Yikes.
Which is just so pathetic. It's gross. Bryce Young is bad. The Blitz thinks Bryce Young is the worst starting quarterback of all 32 this week. That includes Cooper Rush, who's not even really a starting quarterback. It really doesn't like Bryce Young. But nobody likes Bryce Young. Betting markets certainly don't like Bryce Young. This one, I think I've bet the last 2 weeks and it's gone over, I think. It's gross, but it's also a low bar and it sets up pretty decently. The Germany Stadium has this weird roof type thing. We don't know if it's going to be opened or closed. If it does close and we kind of have wind blocked out, that helps us more. Right now I have it projected open. So yeah, it's gross, but as people in chat have kind of said, and like I say all the time, like the gross ones are usually where they're offering us some value. Like you're not usually making money betting overs on, Josh Allen or like, elite quarterbacks. Like you're taking your overs on these crappy guys.
Looks like foggy weather on Sunday in Munich. Not too much wind though. They're not projecting.
Like
they're not
3 or 4 miles per hour, I think, and it's going to be like 45 degrees or something. So
yeah. So it's reasonable football weather there.
Yeah.
At the Allianz, which by the way, beautiful, beautiful stadium. Go at some point in your life if you can. That and the Olympiastadion in Berlin. That is maybe the most beautiful stadium I've ever been in my life. Absolutely incredible place.
So you've been there. That's great.
Yeah. I haven't been to the Allianz. I want to go, but I was at Olympia Stadium. Didn't see a game there, but I got the tour. Like we did a stadium tour thing because that's also a historic venue. You know, that was the 1936 Berlin Olympics. So we got to see all the innards of the stadium, the locker rooms, the like gymnastics warm-ups. Just an awesome experience. Awesome time.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some other questions on this game that I have a joke I'll tell you off air about it, but it'll get me canceled. Changing 500 says any value on Wan'Dale Robinson receptions with Slayton out against a weak defense.
Well, let's take a look. We need to put the
Howdy pointing out, seems like the Giants will want to hog the ball with 15 play drives if they can. And Sports Video says nothing like losing money on Bryce Young overs 4 hours earlier than usual. If you are waking up to watch this game and you are not a Giants or Panthers fan, and even if you are, get some help.
Yeah. So you see Wan'Dale here, actually showing a little bit of value on the under 4.5 plus 140 with the best line here.
Mm-hmm.
Slayton's out. Wan'Dale's going to get volume.
But how much more of that volume goes to Malik Neighbors?
Yeah, a lot more goes to Neighbors lately. Like Wan'Dale started the year with a huge target share. It's fallen off pretty considerably the last 5 weeks. He'll still get his, but this is the Giants. They are potentially playing from ahead. And you're getting offered big plus odds on it. I don't think I bet it at this number here, but I wouldn't be looking at the over, which it sounded like the commenter was looking at.
Mm-hmm. So you would not bet it at the 4.5 plus 140?
Probably not. I mean, you can. I probably want a little better than that, but you can do it. I don't mind.
Mm-hmm. Can we take a look at Jalen Hyatt? Because Chad Martin wants to know about Jalen's potential ladder.
Force my hand. Jalen Hyatt was the gross one that I was debating.
Ooh, that's gross.
Over 1.5 at plus 182.
Oh, it's so nasty.
All right, we're good. We're gonna do it. We'll put this on our card. You guys forced me into it. When I'm staring it right in the face, I can't say no. It's disgusting. Jalen Hyatt has been terrible this year, has not been involved in their game plans. But they have basically said with Slayton out that Hyatt's going to kind of step into that role a little bit. He's maybe not great, maybe a more boomer busty type of guy. But we're getting plus 182 on 2 catches. So yeah, I'll take it at those odds.
I mean, with that defense, like they're going to be able to throw the ball. Neighbors definitely going to grab a touchdown in Germany. Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if he doesn't. I would be surprised if his anytime touchdown is plus money. That's my problem there. Would you rather have yards than receptions for Hyatt? I would definitely rather have receptions, but let's take a look at the yards.
Take a look at the yards. I mean, 9.5. I mean, really, if he catches a ball, he probably goes over this.
See, I don't know about that because I could see it being like a 5-yard catch. You need a first down.
It could be, yeah. So I mean, I certainly like the receptions more on him.
Yeah, I think Plus I'm getting plus 175 on virtually the same prop.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, like the odds you're being offered are very, very different. Like I'll take that big plus money on what could wind up being ultimately the same play.
Yeah. We moved the Mac Jones line at MGM. It's now under 31.5.
Mac Jones. Wait, Mac Jones? Is that an attempt line, a completion line?
Oh, Boglor, are you saying I'm telling you the Mac Jones longest completion?
Okay.
Then you might have just moved that, my friend. Oh, longest completion. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't mind that, just anecdotally.
Let's see here. Sports Videos wants to know thoughts on CMC returning this week and how much work will he get?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Coach Big Index posted a quote. They asked Mike Shanahan if he's going to step back into his old workload, and Shanahan said he definitely could. He also definitely might not. So who knows? But the 49ers are in good shape from a macro perspective. They are pretty heavy favorites in this one. Tampa Bay, all sorts of banged up right now. They shouldn't have to ride McCaffrey hard in this one, and I don't think they really want to, coming off this extended injury.
Yeah.
I have him projected at about 70% volume right now, which still makes him one of the better fantasy plays of the week, but there's a lot of variability in what his role is going to be this week. We really don't know.
Given the level of secrecy, like the Manhattan Project level of secrecy that the 49ers have been able to preserve on the McCaffrey injuries, I have no desire to be betting on him this week.
Yeah, I'm with you.
A guy that I may want to bet on, though, is Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle rush attempts. What do you think about that? I know that we cashed on that last week, and Andrew Rivers wants to know here.
Yeah, not showing as much value as it has, I think, in previous weeks, a little bit, but we're only getting about a one rush attempt over the line. The offense is going to be a little bit more inefficient with rush. They'll probably be a little bit more run heavy. And Dowdle is definitely the guy they like here. Like they've talked very highly of him. I think the exact quote was Rico Dowdle runs like a bowling ball full of knives, which definitely tells you something about how they view Rico Dowdle. They also did say, though, that Zeke is going to be back this week. He's going to be sliding kind of into his, as usual role. Dowdle's going to get the majority of the work here. Like, this is his backfield. I don't mind the over here, but also they are probably going to be trailing against Philly. Are they going to be able to get this many rush attempts, especially when they do give a few to Zeke, maybe a couple to Dalvin?
Yeah,
Hunter might siphon one or two. So I like it. I don't love it.
Yeah,
but
I loved it last week at 9.5. I don't love it this week at 12.5.
Yes.
Sports videos also at Andrew Brennan says Neighbors plus 145 at DK. Everyone's on Tracy if you want an anytime touchdown. I'm not endorsing it. I'm not endorsing it. Sports videos, thoughts on Derek Carr passing yards.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I think I already bet this one. I got to go back.
I bet this one, this was like the first one I hit earlier in the week.
Yep.
At Scores and Odds. I didn't do the yards. I think I did completions. I mean, you can see huge value on the yards here.
Yeah.
But just for me in general, I tend to prefer completions or attempts. 18.5 when the Blitz is projecting 25 is still really good value.
Yeah.
I think this one is just like all about the narrative of like, okay, the Saints are down Olave, they're down Shaheed, they're terrible. They just fired the coach. This offense is the worst. I think there was even, I saw articles like QB controversy in New Orleans. Like, should Derek Carr still be the starter? It's like, oh my God, you were just without him for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, you saw what happened. It wasn't good.
You guys have. It's not better than Derek Carr. It's really not.
Yeah.
Derek Carr is a competent NFL quarterback with a poor receiving core, but also a receiving core that's probably going to be led by Alvin Kamara getting like a quarter or a third of the targets, and targets to a running back get completed at a higher rate.
Yeah.
Targets to Alvin Kamara get completed at a high rate. This is also projected as the fastest paced game of the week. New Orleans plays fast. Atlanta plays extremely fast. Should see just a lot of plays in general here. New Orleans should be trailing, should be throwing. It's indoors. It's in a dome. It's gross, sure. Like the New Orleans offense could just be terrible and potentially could just get nothing going. But if they do anything like reasonable, like they still have a team total of like it's like 21.5 or something. Like, it's not like this is like a 15 total and the market's like, yeah, the Saints are just going to be dreadful. Like, they're going to be not good.
Yeah.
But a quarterback can still get over 18.5 completions when the team is not good in a fast-paced dome game where a quarter of the targets are going to the running back.
It's also really worth pointing out, like Joe Flacco, not captain checkdown. Captain Derek Carr is captain checkdown. That there is nothing that man loves more than a dump off pass to the running back.
Yeah, so I'm 100% on Derek Carr overs this week. Once again, I prefer the completions or the attempts to the yards, but they all show value.
Jim Robinson says the Blitz loves Russell Wilson passing unders this week. Got hurt on those the last few weeks. Anything I'm not seeing? I mean, he has been definitely overperforming expectations so far.
He has. I bet this is one I bet earlier in the week also. I think it opened at 18.5 at most books. It's down to 17.5 now for the completions. Yards will probably be something similar. I mean, showing big value on that too. But again, I probably just prefer the completions or the attempts. Russell Wilson, like he's looked pretty good, I guess, the last couple of weeks since he's come back, but we have a long history now of Russell Wilson not actually being good. Chances are, I think he's still a below average quarterback, and he's still in a Pittsburgh Arthur Smith offense that is like the most run heavy offense in all of football. And he still has basically no one to throw to aside from George Pickens. I'm expecting some regression here. I'm expecting lower pass, low pass volume in general. You can see the blitz is about a completion and a half under the line here. You can get it even money, a little bit of plus money. I like this one.
We can talk about some Atlanta receivers, because do you think there's a value on anyone if London sits? I'm praying to the Lord he doesn't for my fantasy team. While we're looking at that, though, Yahtzee says it's a mid-off between Kirk and Carr. I have to defend Kirk Cousins here. Derek Carr, absolutely mid. He's not bad. He's not good. He is mid. Kirk Cousins is like B+ quarterback. He's not top 10. He's top 15. Derek Carr is like 15. Yeah. Kirk Cousins is a little bit above. He's a step above mid. He's going to get the job done. He is he's a bus driver. That's the way I like to describe that quarterback. Do you give him the keys to the Ferrari? Is he Patrick Mahomes? Is he going to be Tokyo drifting around the corner? No. But if you tell him, Kirk, this school bus full of kids needs to get to school on time, you can hand them the keys to that bus, and those kids are getting to class on time and okay. Like, that's the kind of quarterback he is.
Yeah, which is totally fine. Like, not everybody is a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen type of guy. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of those quarterbacks that are kind of, in that, 10 to 15, 10 to 20 kind of range, people a lot of times think they're worse than they are. Like, people legit think Kirk Cousins is a below average quarterback and Derek Carr is a bad quarterback. Neither of which is true.
Yeah. Josh Allen, though, not a race car driver quarterback either. Josh Allen's a monster truck driver quarterback. You hand him the keys to the monster truck and just see what he does.
Yeah.
Let's see. Raheem Morris feels good about Drake London playing today, which is definitely a good thing here. Andrew Brennan wants to know any thoughts on Tipton's props with Wilson out. Looks like the only other receiver is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I can't tell you which team this is. That's how bad
this is the Saints.
Yeah. Jesus.
Cedric Wilson is questionable. I don't think, unless it's come in recently, I don't think we have news that he's going to be out. They do also have Jermaine Jackson. I mean, don't short sell what the Saints have here. No, it's a really bad receiving core.
Is Tito playing too?
Let's see, Tipton. He is theoretically the wide receiver 1 for them.
Jesus.
A little bit of value. I don't love it enough. I definitely like the Carr stuff more. I'll probably wait and see if we get a receptions line for him, like if we get like a 2.5 or a 3.5 plus money or something, if we get like 3.5 plus 150 or plus 160, I might look at that. I think I'd rather just take the Carr thing for now rather than double dip on Tipton where the value is not great. And really, it's the kind of offense where it could go to any number of guys. Even though Tipton's the wide receiver 1 here, like, that doesn't have to mean anything.
You know what? I want to go to another question, but I've got one for you. Can we look up Kamara receptions?
We can.
I doubt there's value on them, but I want to see.
Yeah, I'm curious too. Let's see. I mean, the Blitz is projecting 6. Oh my God, that's not a real number, is it? 4.5 at DraftKings, and everywhere else is 5. I mean, if that's a real line, hold on a second. That can't be real, can it?
It's gonna come down in a second. I guarantee you that.
I mean, if that's our number, we're gonna take that. We're gonna put it on our card if that's a real number, because that shouldn't be 4.5. The Blitz is projecting 6. So DraftKings and 365 apparently both have 4.5s at minus 135. If anyone can confirm that that's there, I'll try to check myself in a minute. But yeah, I like that a lot. The 5.5 is not showing enough value, but 4.5, sure.
Yeah, it is now sinking to minus 145 though.
Yep, which it looks like our screen just did too. So yeah, we'll count that as a play. It's there at $2. The lines are moving now. I'm sure it'll be 5.5 within seconds. But at the 4.5, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. Cheeseburger Eddie wants to know about Sam Laporta in the 30s for yards. Tempts me every time, and I get burned every time. Are you betting the under or the over? Because the first 8 weeks of the season, they were like, we're not throwing the ball to Sam Laporta anymore. And lately, they've been like, hey, wait a second, he's good at football. It is now down to -150 at Bet365.
Yeah. But the thing with Laporta, he's done well the last couple of weeks, but that's with Jameson Williams out. With Jameson Williams back in the mix, just more mouths to feed. Laporta's great, but it's just Amon-Ra is going to eat first, and then Jameson Williams is going to get his stuff. Laporta will get some. Like, he'll have good games with Jameson Williams in there. But there are going to be games where he disappears. Yeah, the Blitz is like basically right in line with the market. Not a ton of value either way. Certainly not on the over.
Yeah, nothing really great looking there. I am busy investigating something so I can front run it before I say it here because I see it in the chat. But the chat is saying that when it comes to receptions here, Alvin Kamara is still -135, -125 at Caesars.
Oh.
No, he's -135, but still, that's good. Yeah, I just took that. All right. So you got -135 still at Caesars on the over 4.5 for Alvin Kamara there.
Whoever asked that question, thank you for alerting us to check it out, that there was a 4.5 out there, because I did not. I didn't see that. I think they were 5.5 earlier, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like the 4.5.
Yahtzee saying Jameson Williams took the going down the Jonte Porter track. Man, that man is on record for coolest suspension list ever right now. That's what he's going for. He's been suspended for gambling, drugs. Has he been suspended for alcohol yet? Like, this man is just going for the clean sweep, the fraternity row sweep.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah. All right, we've got a couple more minutes in here, guys. Throw in some final questions for us. Speeding. That's what he had. All he needs to do is add drinking, and he's set. But that's a difficult one to add because it's not really normally a suspendable one. Andrew Rivers, I apologize, dude. I missed this. With the Bills' potential game script, what do you think about Ray Davis rushing attempts?
So they're favorites here, obviously, but they're only 4-point favorites. And this is potentially a very slow-paced game. It's not necessarily like this is going to be a blowout and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, let's give Ray Davis some run. Mm-hmm. He'll get a little bit. Kind of in line with the market, it looks like, the projection.
Yeah, I don't really want to play that.
Yeah.
My cousin's name is Ray Davis. Howdy just wants to confirm the car projections had Olave out.
Yeah, Olave's out.
Yeah. Sports Videos, thoughts on Taysom Hill 3+ TDs? I want some of what you're smoking.
I mean, I want to know what odds they're giving you on that, because they need to be real good for this. To think the Saints are going to score 3 TDs and they're all going to go through Taysom Hill. That might be a little too much to ask for.
Especially because you don't have Dennis Allen now. You might have a coach who actually says we don't like Taysom Hill as much, but he's saying he's only 90% joking. But that would be a very wild one to cash. You better be getting some good stuff on that one. That's approaching own the sports book territory. All right. Yeah. We've got a couple more minutes here, guys. Throw in a couple more questions for us. A couple more things that you're looking at. Yeah, like Yahtzee here, who says, how are you projecting TJ Hawkinson receptions this week? That's another bad beat I want to talk about real quick, because I had Sam Darnold over 300 yards passing last week, and he finished with 290.
Why is the Blitz not pulling in a Hawkinson projection? I can tell you what it is, though. It is Minnesota 3.54. And
I'll let engineering know about this. There's clearly something up here with the fact that
it looks like maybe a team issue.
Yeah, there's a team issue with him. I'm gonna wire that to engineering real quick.
And 41.9. Oh, maybe it's because there's not lines on him, at least not for receptions. Oh, looks like maybe Fanatics the only book that has him. Maybe that's part of the issue. Maybe it's not being pulled in from other books. So for now, not going to bet that one. They said last week Hawkinson was going to come back. He wasn't going to be on a snap count, and then he came back and he was on a snap count, which wasn't super fun. They also this week kind of talked a good amount about again, Coach Speak Index. Thank you. They talked about how happy they are to have 3 tight ends in the mix. Like what a great blocker Josh Oliver is, and how him and Munt, are also kind of available in the pass game. So it's possible Hawkinson is not like dominating the snaps here. Like he should be the top guy, especially after a snap count last week. These comments, like I'm not expecting Hawkinson this week to come out and explode. He could, but I think there is a bit of downside risk here too. But as with anything else, it's just going to depend on what line the market gives us.
Yeah, Howdy's saying he's going to be martingale Hawk reception ladders for a few weeks. All right, Kevin K. He feels my pain there. That was a painful one to lose. That could have been a very nice one. Real quick, a couple more questions here before we head off. What's the Mata? Has Daniel Jones rushing over?
We can take a look. I didn't notice that showing value earlier. Let's see, Daniel Jones we'll do rushing yards. Little bit of value, a little bit Blitz projecting like 2 yards, 5 yards more than the implied. Probably not enough for me to want to take that. But you can.
Yeah. Chuba rushing attempts. With his brand new contract.
We've been hitting that every week.
Yeah, it's been great.
This week though, Jonathan Brooks presumably is coming back, and the Blitz still has Chuba projected with almost 16, but books aren't really fooled anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
This is a lower number. Like the Blitz has been projecting him more like 18, 19, I think, the last few weeks. But if you're going to give a few to Brooks now, and they're not going to completely get rid of Miles Sanders either, I think we have to expect it to come down a little bit. So it looks like the projection is kind of in line with the market at this point.
By the way, you're still on the Blitz screen here.
Oh, I am. Sorry.
Yeah. All good.
Here we go. So here we go.
Yeah. The Chuba one, man, they pay him $30 million. They're paying Miles Sanders $25 million, and they spent a second-round draft pick on a running back who was missing a leg. It's a wonder why this team isn't good. It's a complete mystery. But we did very much enjoy the Chuba stank.
It was fun while it lasted. And there is a chance that Jonathan Brooks doesn't play this week. And if we get news of that, I would be much more interested in this. I imagine that the books will move it too, but there could be some temporary value there.
All right. Final question here before we head off. Sports videos saying last one. How about Kyler Murray passing yards? This is one that I'm not as thrilled about because I am much more interested in Kyler Murray rushing yards and really just rushing yards in general when it comes to teams playing the New York Jets, especially this week, because the Jets, I saw fantastic distillation of the Jets. It does not matter who they're playing because every single Jets game is about the Jets versus themselves. And this is absolutely like the spot. All of the teams that they need to lose, like they need the Colts to lose this week. The Ravens winning was a huge boost for them. They could potentially, be holding the 8 seed at the end of the weekend. 1,000%. This is a game where the Cardinals are rushing for 300 yards and beating them by 20. 1,000%.
I mean, it could be. I'm on Jet stuff this week for fantasy purposes, so I'm hoping this is like a kind of a mini shootout type of game. I know the Blitz likes both sides. It likes Kyler stuff. Again, I don't bet passing yards very often. If I'm going to bet him, I'm going to bet his completions, which also shows good value. I mean, it likes it. The Jets are the Jets. The one thing here that I should mention, if you're betting anything in this game, the Blitz is projecting that roof in Arizona to be closed. They have had it open the last 2 weeks. One of them was a night game where we kind of expected it to be open. Last week was an afternoon game where they had it open. So if the roof opens up, the projection will go down a little bit. So just keep that in mind if you are betting them. But I do kind of like Kyler overs.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is going to do it for us here, ladies and gentlemen. Also, maybe check on the health of the Jets secondary. I don't know if Michael Carter's coming back. That could be something. But that is going to do it here for us. Again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 14K to 1.4K here on the subscriptions. So please hit that follow button. Make sure that you're with us. No NFL in-game lines show this Sunday. I'm taking my bye week. My parents are in town to go see Billy Joel Saturday night, so I'm going to spend Sunday with them. Going to have a great time. And, hey, best of luck, everybody. And let's cash some tickets. We'll see y'all back here again next week.